Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, celebrating the holiday with fresh local produce, quality meats, and seasonal favorites. Shop in-store or let Safeway do the shopping this holiday season with free curbside pickup using the Safeway app.
Heads up, part of the Front Range could be without power today. High winds and dry conditions have prompted XL to warn users it could preemptively shut power off in some areas, starting around midday. The idea is that if power lines do blow down, at least they won't spark wildfires. XL will have updated information throughout the day at xlenergy.com. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. Coming up, 6 women accuse the largest online dating company of enabling sexual assault after they were attacked by a Denver man using its apps.
Last year, he was convicted and sentenced to 158 years for the attacks. But the women say that Match Group bears a responsibility too.
Then, how will Colorado's critters learn to use the biggest wildlife crossing in North America?
Unfortunately, wildlife can't read, so it's not like we could put signs up saying, this is safe here, go here.
We investigate. Plus, in a reminder of Colorado's Wild West roots, cattle thieves have been making a comeback.
Once the hide is off the animal, it's hard to identify where it came from.
It's Wednesday, December 17th. Here's the news in Colorado today. A note for listeners. This segment will contain descriptions of sexual assault. Please listen with care. 6 women are suing Match Group. They were first drugged and then raped or sexually assaulted by the same Denver cardiologist, who they all met through apps like Tinder and Hinge. Despite filing reports with the company, they say Match Group allowed the man to keep using the apps and keep meeting new victims. Reporter Hanisha Harjani is with the Dating App Reporting Project, an 18-month investigation into Match Group. Hanisha, what's in this complaint?
The complaint centers on 6 women who were drugged and raped by the same man, Stephen Matthews, the cardiologist from Denver. And it accuses Match Group of, quote, accommodating rapists across its apps through, quote, negligence and a, quote, defective product. One of the women in the complaint said that she reported Stephen Matthews to Hinge in 2020 after she matched with him and went on a date where she found herself incapacitated and sexually assaulted. She got a response from Hinge that confirmed that they had received her report, but just a few months later, Hinge was recommending Matthews to her again. So she reported him a second time with a link to his profile, and this time Hinge responded saying that they had banned him and would ban him again and take additional steps to make sure he stays off Hinge permanently. But that did not happen. Matthews only got off the app when he was arrested in spring of 2023. Last year, he was convicted and sentenced to 158 years for the attacks. But the women say that Match Group bears a responsibility too.
Your team followed Matthew's case as it moved through the court system. Can you walk me through some of the details of what he did?
Yeah, Matthews had a similar pattern. So he would largely use Match Group apps to meet women, and then he would ask them to go on a walk in the park with his dog or get drinks or brunch near his place. But after sharing a drink with him, women described similar stories of feeling disoriented, like they were much, much more drunk than they should have been. Some women described blacking out and waking up to assaults or realizing that they had been assaulted.
That's awful. What has Match Group said about all of this?
So they did not provide us a comment on this lawsuit, but a company spokesperson sent us a statement in February when we were working on the initial investigation, and they said that the company sees itself as an industry leader in deploying technology to promote safety, including, quote, harassment-preventing AI tools, ID verification, and a portal to help them better communicate with law enforcement.
And that statement, how does that square with what your team uncovered?
So our investigation found that Match Group knew of the scale of harms on their platform for years, but was keeping that information secret. It had information on users who've been reported for drugging, assaulting, raping their dates since at least 2016. And since 2019, Match Group even started building out a central database that recorded every user reported for rape and assault across its entire suite of apps. And because it had all this data, the company was also promising all the way back in 2022 to publish a transparency report that would share this information on assaults and other complaints with the public. But it never followed through on that either.
Wait, I'm confused. It sounds like they had the tools, so why were they not effective?
So they had these tools, but they weren't deployed broadly. Match Group owns so many different apps. And so it's not like all of their safety tools are the same across every single one of their apps. And we also found that Match Group was scaling back its critical trust and safety teams, the ones in charge of developing and employing these tools.
Now, I want to focus on a single word in the Denver-based lawsuit, calling apps like Hinge defective. I understand that your team ran a test case to see if users flagged for assault could still get back on the app. So what did you learn from that?
Yeah, so this lawsuit is focused on the product of the dating apps themselves. So we did some testing in our stories to find out if there were ways for people who were reported for harmful behavior, like rape, to get back on the app after they were banned. And our tests found that banned users were easily able to rejoin Match Group apps without changing their name, birthday, or profile picture. Match Group didn't respond to an inquiry about the product testing. And when we retested this month, Tinder was just a little different. They had a new security feature that made new users confirm that they were who they represented themselves to be in their profile photos. But it's not certain that that feature would have prevented someone like Stephen Matthews from continuing to harm people because he never lied about who he was.
Have you spoken to survivors of what they hope happens in terms of accountability?
Yeah, I did speak to one of the survivors. She says that Match Group is a company that is worth billions of dollars. They have global reach. And she said to me that they definitely have the resources to prioritize safety for their users. And she felt like they just were choosing not to.
Investigative reporter Hanisha Harjani with the Dating App Reporting Project. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have a link to the full investigation in our show notes. It may not look like much, at least not yet, but a new bridge over I-25 could soon be crawling with some of your favorite Colorado critters. Colorado's Department of Transportation, or CDOT, just laid down dirt and scattered seed over what the state is calling the largest wildlife overpass in North America.
We had the California people out in May, and we compared numbers because they kept on saying their overpass over the 101 is the largest in the world. And ours turns out is about 4,000 square feet larger than theirs. Not by much, but we still claim the title.
That's Chuck Ottardo, a manager for the I-25 South Corridor at CDOT, who we actually spoke to about the project back in July. The overpass officially opened yesterday, and it connects nearly 40,000 acres of wildlife habitat on each side of I-25 in Greenland Valley. It's that big open space between Larkspur and Monument Hill. And now that it's complete, we wanted to know where the bear's at.
Well, we expect bears to certainly use the overpass, but it's more likely maybe they're going to be using it at night.
Kara Van Hoos works for the Colorado Parks and Wildlife, or CPW, which partner with CDOT on the project. And while Van Hoos doesn't really recommend taking your eyes off the road at night just to look for bear silhouettes, she does expect other visitors at dawn and dusk.
Winter does come with a lot of movement. We see deer and elk herds come down from higher elevations to lower elevations because, you have deeper snowpack up in the higher elevations, so it's harder for them to forage and find things on the ground to be able to eat.
The overpass links together animal habitat that have, for years, been disconnected, and it should improve safety. CDOT says that the new overpass could help decrease collisions between cars and wildlife by 90%. But if you're wondering, like I was, how the elk and pronghorn and mountain lions will know where they're supposed to go to.
Unfortunately, wildlife can't read, so it's not like we could put signs up saying, this is safe here, go here.
They designed the overpass with that animal mentality specifically in mind.
You, as a deer, are naturally really skittish, and you don't trust anything unless you can see the other side. So you're probably not going to use a path that has a corner to it because you can't see what's around the corner. So with this overpass, they're going to stand at the bank of the overpass and be able to see the other side, or at least see enough that they don't feel unsafe to use it.
Van Hu says that CPW has seen photos of deer teaching fawn how to safely use wildlife underpasses and hopes that they'll do the same above ground. We're only one day into this thing, so it's still a little early to have spotted, say, a black bear. But CPW did set up game cameras to capture I-25's newest and wildest scene.
We are really excited to see what kinds of animals are going to use this overpass and how quickly they adapt to it.
Ranchers in Weld County are dealing with a problem that most of us probably thought died out with stagecoaches and telegraph lines: cattle rustling. Since early November, nearly 24 head of cattle have gone missing from 7 ranches. Investigators say they were likely stolen. For nearly as long as Colorado has had cattle thieves, it's also had a brand office, state officials tasked with managing and monitoring the brands that are supposed to make it harder to steal and resell cattle. CPR's Haley May talked to the brand commissioner Todd Ingley about his work and told Dan Boyce what she learned.
Haley, how common is cattle theft in Colorado?
Well, Dan, missing livestock is a more common occurrence than you might think. The brand office expects by the year's end, roughly 500 head will have been reported missing this year. Now, that might not all be theft. Cattle do wander off and just disappear sometimes. But as the value of cattle has gone up, so have the number of missing ones. The spike in reports tracks closely with the economics of beef. And since the pandemic, Ingley says the demand for beef has increased and stayed at those high levels. That means a missing animal is a big hit for a rancher, anywhere from $2,300 to over $3,000 per cow.
Anytime you lose one, it has a big impact, especially when you consider by the time you breed a cow, raise that cow to market weight, and then market it, it takes 2 years before that animal is ready to pay the owner back. So it's a long process.
What then happens to stolen cattle? Do they end up going into some kind of black market?
Ingley said there's a few options here. One possibility is that they're hauled out of state.
There aren't really many brand law states, mandatory brand law states east. And so if you can get them out there, you're able to sell them, buy them.
Another is that they could be butchered illegally.
Once the hide is off the animal, it's hard to identify where it came from.
But if that's the case, it's really hard to sell the meat legally in Colorado. Like, you won't find stolen meat at, say, a Safeway. The third possibility is that the stolen cattle are hidden and kept for breeding in other herds, either in or out of state.
Are cattle brands, are they still a part of the security effort to keep theft like this from happening?
Yes, actually, Colorado's brand system is a big part of preventing and catching cattle theft. The State Board of Stock Inspection administers more than 32,000 unique livestock brands in Colorado. Basically, ranchers register a specific combination of letters, numbers, or symbols, then mark it on their animals with a hot iron, and then it's really hard to get that brand off of a live animal. When a missing or stolen report is filed, the brand board sends all of that information to all ports of entry around the state patrol offices, every sheriff's office in Colorado, all brand inspectors, and every public livestock market in the state and neighboring states. They'll do their best to keep an eye out for these missing animals, but sometimes it really just comes down to time. The Kansas border isn't that far away, and a lot of the time these cows are already out of the state by the time that ranchers realize they're gone, and sometimes the trail just goes cold.
CPR's Haley May. Thanks so much, Haley.
Thank you.
Additional reporting came from Mateo Schimpf and Stephanie Wolf, who also contributed for the dating app reporting project. Follow Colorado Today in your podcast app. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, offering convenient delivery and free pickup to help with the busy times this holiday. Online customers enjoy the same prices, deals, and rewards as in-store. Get started in the Safeway app or at safeway.com.